Ramro back with some Grand Tactician Civil War, version 1.07. Okay, got this Union campaign going on here, and we have just crossed into March. So winter is essentially at an end, although, well, winter conditions continue through March. So we're a month away from the end of winter conditions as far as slow movement and increased attrition. That doesn't mean that the campaign season will be starting. Johnny Reb has been doing plenty of campaigning through the winter. Before we get to the kind of the theater overview, a couple things to talk about. I want to talk a little bit about finances, just a little. We are starting to run a fairly significant deficit. It is not grossly impacting our credit rating yet, but I'd like to keep it from getting that way. I think I'm about ready to go ahead and pop the Tariff Act in policies. We're currently working on Breadbasket. That is still 3 weeks away. When that's done, I'm going to go ahead and take the Tariff Act. It's always been my plan to take it. Not an if, but a when. And I think the when has arrived. So in about 3 weeks, we'll start working on Tariff Act. That'll be another 3 weeks or so. So pretty soon we'll have a little bit more government income coming in. And what that will do is it will raise the maximum amount of tariffs from 30% to 50%. Now that doesn't mean I have to keep it at 50%. I am thinking we'll get the Tariff Act, and then I'll probably try 40% for a while. See how that goes. So right now at the 30% rate, we're bringing in $368 million per year. So if this is at the 30% rate, then every 10% should be roughly $120 million in income, and that would bump us up to $650 in total revenue, which won't completely eradicate the surplus, but should reduce it if all this stays the same, which it won't, because Army upkeep is increasing, and that's just going to be the way it is until I can start getting a couple of levels of logistics reform, which is something that I would like to start working on fairly soon. Of course, it's a military subsidy project, and there are billions of things which compete for that. Supply depots, we're now spending a little over $100 million per year on that. So I think I'd like to reduce this a little bit, and it'll only be a little bit, but up here in New York City, there's a supply depot that I don't think we need. So I'm going to abandon this supply depot, which really doesn't have that much in it. But what there is here, hopefully will, I say hopefully, it should go back out into the economy and find its way to other depots. So I'm going to abandon this one. And there's another one here. Now that West Virginia has been converted to Union and is a Union state, I don't think we need this depot at Grafton anymore. I'm going to drop this one as well. You click that abandon button and it doesn't look like it takes. It just takes a second. I usually wind up double clicking that thing. And then we also have one here near Charleston, which I'm leaving for now because of the Appalachian Corps. But once the Appalachian Corps moves at the end of winter, I think I'm going to drop this Point Pleasant depot. And I had just about talked myself into getting rid of the St. Louis depot. But it's hard to bring myself to abandon a tier 2. And especially in a situation where, I might wind up needing that at some point. If the Confederates start committing a lot of troops to Missouri, and the Missouri Corps has to has to retreat and has to go back up into St. Louis. That said, once this supply depot is finished here, I'm not sure I need this one at Raleigh anymore. I don't know if I need one here and here, although I kind of like the idea of I'll probably keep these. Yeah, who knows in the future where the Missouri Corps may have to retreat and advance along this axis. But there's a couple of supply depots that we're no longer spending money on, so that should bring down the expenses just a little bit. It won't be much, but it'll help. Okay. Seen in the last couple episodes, already had quite a few replacement ARD units go out to the armies so that we have larger units, artillery battalions instead of batteries. And that process isn't complete. There's a few more artillery units going out now, currently in transfer, and quite a bit of our cavalry, recently recruited cavalry units, are on their way out to the armies to combine with the existing cav so that we'll finally have some decent sized units. And they're a few days away. Saw at the end of the last episode that over the past couple battles had actually captured a few Richmond carbines and Fayetteville rifles from the Confederates, enough to actually equip a couple units. So I had one cavalry unit equipped with Burnside carbines, which aren't bad for rate of fire, but they're very short ranged. That unit is now re-equipped with Richmond carbines, which are a slow rate of fire weapon. However, it is a slow firing weapon at 3 rounds a minute, but it has a 375-yard range. Because of that, it was the 9th Cav. I'm keeping it the 9th, but I renamed it to Dragoons, which is basically a term for dismounted Cav, and or dismounted or mounted infantry would be another way to say that, I guess. Later on, when I unlock British rifles, that's going to bring the Enfield musketoon, which has similar characteristics. Relatively slow firing, although I think a little bit faster than standard infantry muzzle loading rifles, and long range. So with these types of weapons, I'm going to use the term Dragoons. It is March 1st. Let's have a look and see what our most recent Econ and Intel has to say. This is the March 1st report. Still way up in the A's, AA minus, and I'm trying to keep it that way. That's the deal with the tariffs and the supply depots, which is excellent. Didn't issue any debt last month, which kind of surprises me with the amount of recruiting that I did, to be honest. And our national debt remains unchanged at $140 million. At one point, actually paid down $25 million, but it went back up. So we're at $140 million again. That was a couple months ago. Economy in recovery. Wealth below average and increasing. And that may start to drop a little bit. Once I increase the tariffs, we'll see. Tax revenues increased by $696 million during the past month. I think this number is probably from a save and a reload. I mean, roughly $700 million is our entire tax income. If it increased by this much, it increased from zero, which obviously was not accurate. Haven't built any buildings recently, not since the last couple of hospitals. That's been a while. And talked about that at the beginning of the campaign. I'm trying to build less buildings in this campaign because I'm trying to use the industrial and agricultural projects more. However, I'm starting to think, I don't know if that's the right way to go. I feel like I need some flour mills. I feel like I need a foundry. And it's not that we don't have enough of those. It's that I don't know if they're in the right place. And I don't know if the raw materials are getting to our existing foundries and mills. So I'm kind of thinking putting a mill in a place close to a bunch of farms, right? Like out in the Midwest, somewhere in Illinois. And finding a couple of nice iron mines and putting a foundry near them. Because food and iron remain consistent shortages in every one of these reports. Now, food is produced in factories, not mills, but it's the flour coming out of mills that goes into the food at the factory. So there may be a couple buildings coming at some point. Not immediately, not this episode. Exports and imports both have increased a lot. Corporate production seemed to drop a little bit. Tiny amount overall, though. And these same three items. Intelligence. What's Johnny Reb up to? So they're working on recruitment bounties. It seems like they were working on recruitment bounties last time around as well, which means they got to be real close to completing that, since they've already been working on it for over a month now. Relations unchanged. 2,900 more men recruited in 2 brigades. Another squadron at Alabama formed. 2 new ships. Okay, 77%. And this number would have registered, I think, before their latest defeat. So I think their army morale is actually a tiny bit lower than that by now. And still mostly defending. Which doesn't mean that they're completely defensive. Defending his land, that includes, as we have seen, that means that they will be on the offensive within Confederate territory, which they certainly have been in Virginia. The theater situations haven't changed much, as time has advanced pretty slowly over the past several episodes now because of all the battles. Lyon still working on his supply depot at Springfield, Missouri. That's almost complete, though. Cumberland Corps still working on Fort Hyman. How's that siege going? Okay, that's increasing a little bit further into our favor. Army of the Ohio still at Nashville. This is actually, as far as any single force, this is actually the strongest army we have at almost 30,000 men, and that's because there are 4 divisions in this army. Kanawha Corps on his way to London will build a supply depot in this area just so he can stay in supply as he comes down here to confront the Army of West Tennessee and threaten Knoxville. So we have fought a lot of battles around here over the past few episodes as the Confederates have been trying to retake Winchester. They should be retreating now, and then we also came over here and have displaced the Army of the Northwest and regained control of this supply depot here. There's still the Hampton Legion unspotted somewhere down in this area. But that right now, that is the only combat-capable Confederate force. All 3 visible ones are in retreating mode. Now, they won't stay that way for long. They'll be back, I'm sure. But I hope we get a lull of at least a week or 2 in game time, because these armies up here at Winchester, the Army of the Chesapeake and the Army of Pennsylvania, they are not in great shape readiness-wise. And so I need for them to regain some readiness. Army of Pennsylvania is in the red, and Chesapeake is in the yellow. And additionally, I've got Cav and Arty units coming to these forces, and I want time for those guys to get there and combine into the existing units. I think Pennsylvania's actually got another infantry brigade coming as well, because one of their brigades got down to like 600 men after the last battle. At sea, Farragut is ready to go down and have another crack at Fort Norfolk, so let's just send him on down. The green readiness. That should be plenty close enough right there. Right. I would prefer for the Virginia blockade not to join in that battle, so I have put them in defensive mode, which the tooltip says will not sail out of port to intercept enemy fleets and will not reinforce other fleets that are in combat and within reach. Okay? I don't want him joining in the bombardment. I want him to continue the blockade. Let's go ahead and roll some time. Oh, one final... If we look at the tooltip here, there's a bunch of projects available, but the ones I'm looking for are not available. And I've mentioned them in the past episodes. Ag, farm mechanization, industrial, looking for subsidized industry, or infrastructure reform. Neither of those we have enough for yet. Diplomacy, going for British rifles. And in military, at this point, I'm saving up for organization reform. Okay, Confederate armies are still in the rear. Oh, here comes the Hampton Division. Well, here we go. We got another battle. Man, they just keep coming and don't stop coming. All right, Winfield Scott and the Army of the Rappahannock against John Magruder in the Hampton Division, and it's pretty even. We are on the Manassas map. It is a defensive situation. The objective is here. So even we've fought on this map several times, but with the location of the objective, this is a much different tactical situation than we've had in the previous Manassas map battles. Johnny Reb's entry point down here at the south. Okay, so he's going to be down here and marching up toward whatever this is. Oak Forest. And defending this is a little tricky because there are multiple quite reasonable routes that the AI could take to get to the objective, and he may take more than one. I may go ahead and go with this unfinished railroad, using that as a line right close to the objective. You know, he's got to come this way, or this way, so we can use the unfinished railroad as a line here, and then right over here we can put some fortifications angled this way, and that keeps all three divisions together and able to support each other. I've kind of talked myself into this. I think I'm going to set that up, and I'll be back. So this is what I've set up. I decided just to forego the unfinished railroad, which is kind of an open ground over here, and just go with parapets. I had enough engineering points for a couple of nice parapet sections here. Got one over here to cover this road. I'm not really expecting the Rebs to come this way, but needed to address this flank. So I've got a division over here. They're really going to be the reserve, I think. Main line right here on the objective, and that's another reason why I decided to go with this instead of the railroad, that they can be right up on it, and there's no way for the Confederates to take the objective, which they're going to try to do without coming under severe fire and having to get through our abattis. Actually had enough for some, well, it's kind of faded out. I'm not sure those actually built. And I guess the only other thing to mention is I just resign myself to the fact that in this area, artillery is not going to be much of a factor. So I've got the rifled artillery over here. If they're going to get any shots at all, it's going to be if Magruder kind of loads up on this flank. And so that's where they are. I'm not expecting them to contribute very much. And then I've got two 24-pound howitzer batteries, including, well, no, one 24-pound howitzer and one 12-pounder Napoleon battery, battalion rather, on the railroad behind the position. Again, if they get any shots at all, it's going to be over here. And then this battalion may be over in this direction, so that's where he is. Got a couple wavering units, the 49th Brigade and the 32nd Battery. However, mouse over there, morale currently 47%, but fighting spirit capped 65% for the battalion and 71% for Gabriel Paul. So I think that both of those units are going to be in fine shape well before any secessionists are sighted. Okay, this army still does not have any cavalry. Still working on getting cav to it. And Johnny Reb's got a long way to march. So I'll be back whenever we get rebels spotted, and we kind of have an idea of which way they're going to come at our position. Okay, so our skirmishers, which are kind of spread all through here, have caught sight of Magruder's army. And they are kind of coming up through the middle. Some crossed here at Poplar Ford. Some guys are coming through here. So they are kind of generally coming into this area. Had I known for sure they were going to do that, this would have been a pretty nice setup right in here. Kind of right in the edge of the woods, in cover, with open ground in front of us. Too late now. So that's how things are shaping up, and it is just past 5 p.m. It is March. Sunset is going to be at 6 p.m., so I don't expect anything to happen important today. So I'll be back at some point during day 2. It's a little after 2 p.m. on day 2, March 2nd. Magruder's not moving. The morale of both armies is increasing a little bit, ticking up, right? I mean, that mechanic of morale recovery works for them as much as for us. And because of that, the needle keeps plinking back and forth just barely between minor defeat and minor victory. However, the objective points make that a losing proposition for Magruder. But I don't think he wants to attack into this, and I don't blame him. His best move is not to attack. Doesn't make for a very engaging episode, I know, but that's honestly his best move. So he may not. He may withdraw at some point. That is a thing in 1.07. So that might happen, or the objective points will eventually make the balance so that he is compelled to attack if he wants to win it all. And because his morale is a little bit higher, and because the troop strength is equal, he may try to do that too. So I don't know what he's going to do, but right now I've got the very strong position. I've got the objective. it's up to him. And the next time I cut in, either he'll be making an attack, or you'll see the results screen of a battle that basically didn't happen. And I don't know which one of those two it's going to be. Yeah, it's the morning of day 3. There's a little bit of movement happening, and some more units were up here not in vision, and they've come up. So I guess maybe Magruder was simply waiting for more guys to show up. I don't know what this... Anyway, this artillery battalion and this brigade have come up and have started engaging our skirm line. So not a whole lot going on, but we got a little skirmisher action going. Looks like that artillery is about to break. However, so is this skirmisher. Let's go ahead and pull him in. He was fine until he started to turn. I don't know why he did that. By the way, all 9 infantry brigades in this army now have their Ace of Spades perk. And they're all in green cover. These are skirms up here. Here's the Marines right here, front and center, closest to the objective. They've got the kind of brighter blue jackets. Well, are you coming in? At least he hasn't broken yet. There's some more artillery coming up apparently. Oh, that's a detachment. I think these guys, DePolignac hasn't broken yet, but he's apparently lost some guns, and I guess McCulloch is sending some infantry over to man them. Yeah, okay. Irwin's skirms finally broke there. Firing at the arty, these two skirmishers here came just out of woods cover, but they're not going to respond now for me to put them back in. They are where they are now. However, how about we bring the Marine skirmishers over this way to put flanking fire into 6th Brigade? That seems like a capital idea. Maybe. Well, maybe I just need to rotate them. There, that works. Okay. DePolignac's battalion is broken. However, McCulloch has manned some guns, or is trying to man some guns over here. Richardson's skirms facing off against 6th Brigade, supported by the Marines. And Irwin, what the hell are you doing? No. Stop. I want to stop him first before I give him an order to come back. I can make him fall back faster with a retreat order, but there's a morale debuff to that. Looks like maybe I better turn initiative off. Brigades. Okay, Harrison's, they're all working on 6th Brigade. That makes sense. Make sure. Okay. He's got his order to fall back. We'll slowly get there. I don't think Irwin's in too much trouble. But these losses, I believe these are attrition losses from the overnight deployment phases. We've been through a couple now. Yeah, that's where our losses have come from. And that's a big chunk of the rebel losses as well. Wow, we've got this 6th Brigade wavering now. Go Skirms, go. Keep the fire up. Richardson's skirms are going to break soon. I'm going to keep them here firing so that hopefully we can rout this 6th Brigade. And then that's going to leave these artillery units, which are really just detachments of infantry manning guns. That'll leave them exposed again. How about let's bring up these other skirmishers over here to help. Especially against that artillery while these other pickets are engaged on 6th Brigade. Brigade has taken 300 casualties, estimated. Who is this anyway? Fry. I don't know about other players. I would find it helpful if the name of the commander appeared in a unit's mouse over tooltip. I would also find it helpful if the state of that unit's troops were shown here as well. Now, in a lot of mine, you know, I've gone back and kind of renamed them manually to include that in their but that's not default, right? But, you know, you mouse over a unit here on the 3D view and it's 6th Brigade. You pull back up to the paper map view and it doesn't say 6th Brigade, it says Fry. And this shows what I was talking. I don't think Magruder was like sitting here waiting, oh my god, that position is so strong. I think he was just waiting for other units, I guess. I don't know exactly what they're up to. Because they're not really moving, they're just not doing anything. Okay. Let's get these skirmishers over here firing on this artillery. Sort of no. Okay, no. I'd rather have Catterson's guys firing on 6th Brigade. We need to get this infantry brigade broken if we can. Irwin should be able to put skirmishers back out. Fry has recovered some morale there. He's not wavering anymore. McNair's detachment wavering. Marines, get up in there. Keep the fire up. That may be why he wasn't wavering, because he'd fallen just enough out of range that he wasn't taking that flanking fire from Davidson's skirms anymore. Slow going for the skirms to get across all the obstructions in front of them. That's fine. Okay. Those fellows have been broken. Skirms are firing. Irwin's guys need to move up. Marines are firing. Get Catterson on this brigade again. Okay, he's starting to take flanking fire again. I think 6th Brigade is going to break this time. Should. Somebody's out of ammo. Catterson. Alright. Come back in for more bullets. I think that's going to happen with a lot of these skirmishers pretty soon. The 6th Brigade is broken. Working on McCulloch's detachment here. Oh, there's a lot more units over here now. Magruder, what are you doing? You're disappointing me. Why is Paul wavering? I guess just because he's a long way from his brigade. Fine, let's just bring him back in. Just bring him back in within the radius. It's the only debuff he's got. Yeah, he just disappeared as soon as he crossed into the radius. Okay, those guys have been sent back. So let's do the same thing for Wallace's skirms. Okay, Magruder, what's your next move? I'll be back whenever that becomes apparent. Okay, we've got a little bit of movement here again. It's not a general assault with the entire army, but we've got a basically a division or a division and a half making an attack through here. 6th Brigade coming back. Humphreys, Cav. We got McNair. These are all Tillman's division. And then we've got the 5th Brigade under McCulloch, part of Stewart's division. These other forces are staying put back here. Did notice slight change to the default naming scheme, it appears, for the CSA side. We've got brigade for infantry, but it looks like they've started calling the cav units regiments. I had pulled most of the skirms back in for ammunition reasons, and then they're back out at kind of their default positions in front of their brigades now. So we'll see how it works out for McNair. He will probably push these skirms in, but then what's he going to do, right? Got a lot of obstructions and some brigades ready to deliver much more concentrated firepower on him. And this may never develop into a strong attack. This could be kind of a feeling out attack, testing the defenses. And it seems pretty clear. I don't see any way that we're not going to easily repel this. And at that point, Magruder might retreat, having made the attempt. We've seen that before in this campaign. I believe Leonidas Polk did a similar thing in one of the early battles over in the west. Okay, let's go ahead and pull these skirmishers in. It wouldn't do to have Marines rout, would it? McCulloch is coming over this way. Let's just rotate these skirmishers a little bit. Let's still get some cover from the breastworks. Ooh. Catch the skirmishers in. Butterfield's 7th Brigade start to engage on Fry. Speed that up a little bit there. Okay, Marines engage. Look at that. How do you like that, McNair? Yeah, he's not liking it. He's pulling back. Schenk's skirmishers engaging 5th Brigade. I think that's McCulloch. Boom. McNair routed. That's what happens when you mess with Marines. It's even worse when the Marines are in entrenchments. Okay. Some cavalry over here. Humphrey is getting engaged by Richardson's skirms. McCulloch is not digging his situation. He's trying to move around, find a better spot, starting to waver. Marines opening up. 2nd Brigade, Schenck's guys, Ohio troops, opening up. Not looking good from there goes McCulloch. Next customer, please. Now serving number 8. Looks like number 8 is Humphrey's regiment. Patterson can get his skirmishers back out now. Get a whole bunch of skirms working on this cav. It's just mobbed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different skirmishers incoming fire from an arc of about 180 degrees, 170 degrees. He's not going to like that for too much longer. I'm surprised he doesn't have the getting flanked debuff, though. Yeah, I would imagine he would be pulling back away from that. It was reorienting. Yeah, he's pulling back over here. Great. Who's this? There's Fry's 6th Brigade. They're wavering, but they're coming forward again. Oh, that's not a detachment. That's actually an artillery battalion there. $2,100 to 400 casualties. It's taken about 12% losses. The Polignac withdrawn. That was the first artillery battalion that was routed earlier during the initial skirmishing. Yeah, this is basically turning into just a big skirmisher battle, which that works sometimes. These skirms are not getting driven back. Not wholesale, right? Okay, Montague out. Let's try back McCulloch's detachment. Re-engage 6th Brigade, which has been routed, or at least forced to fall back, twice already. I would imagine pretty soon we're going to start having ammo problems again with the skirmisher detachments, and that's fine. Just pull them back and keep them working. Yep, there we go. Richardson. Bring all the skirms back in. Marines can put another line out. How about these guys? 23, yeah. This guy's been banging away. I'm just going to pull them all in for ammunition. Butterfield, his brigade is not very big. He can put skirmishers out. He's big enough, but he's only about 1,000 men. I haven't been putting skirmishers out from that brigade for that reason. All right, Humphrey is back for more. Well, we'll give him more. Nope, he decided to fall back. McNair coming back. There's a total of, let's just have a look real quick. So there are a total of, well, really, there's 3 divisions here: Tillman, Bennings, and Stewart's. And then there's an additional rather small infantry brigade, and then the Montague artillery. Benning's division have seen no units at all on the field. That's not, they've been spotted on the field, but they're not doing anything. They're way up there at the other end of the Confederate position, stationary. Those guys we saw up on those creek, that's Benning's division. They're not doing anything. Magruder's not using them. That's obviously a real problem for his army. But it's been mostly Tillman. Meanwhile, Tillman has got some brigades here. Humphreys, the 6th Brigade, that's Fry, and McNair's brigade that have been sent in repeatedly. Fry's down to 300 guys. He's taken a total of 1,000 casualties. So out of that, what is it, 2,500, 1,000 of that is just in one brigade. And very little of it has been proper. Okay, he's making a real attempt there with McNair. Okay. Skirm's coming in. He's about to catch a lot of fire from Richardson and Irwin. Yep, he's gone. I think that's it. I think they're bugging out. They may not form it, we're probably going to reach the withdrawal or the deployment phase, and there's going to be a withdrawal. Let's just speed it through. Okay, so checking the performance of the Army. First of all, 0 for the artillery, and that makes sense. They were never engaged because of the wooded terrain. 1st Division, they were over on the left, 641, and that makes sense. The skirmisher casualties inflicted are folded into this, and that's why I folded those skirmishers in at the end, so this would all be a little bit cleaner in here. And 1st Division, two of their skirmisher units were over there on those breastworks and weren't engaged. 2nd Division did the most, and that's simply because they had more skirmishers involved than the other divisions. And then 3rd Division was on the right. I didn't have Butterfield skirms out. So this is actually fairly evenly distributed, I think. Of all these skirmisher units that were continuously engaged, I bet it all turned out pretty even. In the 1st Division, U.S. Marine Corps, 455. And then 186 from the 2nd Brigade. That was Schenck. 2nd Division, these are the guys in the center. Richardson, Catterson, and Irwin. pretty evenly distributed. Actually, 600 for 6th Brigade. Richardson's guys. In any case, pretty good demonstration there of, under certain conditions, skirmishers can carry the load. You know, would they have been able to do that in open ground or under artillery fire? No, I don't think so. But in that sketchy terrain all through here, you know, they've got the cover. Of course, the enemy does too, but even if the rebels had been making a more concerted attack through here, the woods, the cohesion, the fatigue, pretty hard to get a really strong, coordinated push through terrain like that, and the skirmishers can just eat you up. And I don't necessarily think that that is because skirmishers are OP in this game. I think that's kind of probably pretty reasonable. Now, let's see if Patterson would, or excuse me, Magruder withdraws. Yes. Even though we had not reached the end of the bar up here, they were clearly pulling back, and well, that was the right move. You know, he came up here, at least one of his divisions made an effort. Not successful. Let's not continue beating our head against the wall. Magruder pulls out. It's a reasonable action by the AI. And even though a little disappointing that he didn't coordinate these units better all through here and come all at once, you know, that's, if he had, he would have lost even more men. So, okay. Okay. Another 400 guys going into the POW camps. Fine. Captured almost 2,000 infantry arms and 6 more artillery. McNair, defamed. Makes sense. I think his brigade was routed at least once, maybe twice. I'm not sure. Well, let's see if we picked up any Fayettevilles or Richmonds. I think we did pick up a few more Richmond carbines. However, I don't think I've got any little bitty cav units that don't have at least as good a weapon. Nope. I had already equipped a brigade with Fayettevilles. Didn't get any more of those. Didn't get any more Richmond rifles. And I'm not seeing any artillery that's jumping out at me as having been captured. So we got a few Richmond carbines anyway. Not many. Okay, so now we've got all 4 Confederate forces in Virginia on the run. And nice job by Winfield Scott's Army of the Rappahannock. It's our newest army, and so far they're doing a bang-up job. Pretty happy with them. And I think that will do for this episode. We'll have to wait yet another episode for Farragut to come down here against Fort Norfolk. I think he's had this order to move for like 2 episodes now. Or maybe I just gave it to him, but he's been green readiness, ready to go for a couple episodes. If you like what we're doing with the channel, if you like this content, then leave a like, leave a comment, maybe even subscribe. If you're new to the channel or the series or otherwise just haven't seen some of the other episodes in this series and would like to, I'm linking the playlist right here. At any rate, thank you very, very much for watching. I appreciate it.